What's going on, guys? Gomes here back again on another MLB The Show 18 Diamond Dynasty video, and today we are going to be talking about the 2018 postseason program. As you guys are obviously well aware, the postseason is now over the Boston Red Sox. Congratulations to you winning another championship. I know it's been a long, tough 5 years since your last one, but congratulations to them. It was a fun World Series, even though it only lasted 5 games. Of course, there was a really long game which the Dodgers got their only victory in, but nonetheless it was cool, and definitely now that means we are going to get some more content on Diamond Dynasty. Of course, as you guys know, they do talk about it a little bit right here in the game right now. As you guys can see, 2018 postseason program will arrive after the World Series ends. The little bit of news that I do have regarding that is it will be costing you guys no stubs whatsoever. So basically, the way they explained it, just as the Future Star programs, you guys did not have to buy anything. And just as last year, you guys did not have to buy anything in the postseason program that got you the 95 World Series MVP Diamond George Springer. You guys will not have to buy any cards. The way it's going to start out is they're going to give you a free flashback card, and then you do some stat missions, and that's how you progress through it. Also to note, every team is going to get at least one player, at least one postseason flashback card. So obviously, like the wild card teams that got bounced in the first round, they're probably only going to get one card, but like the Boston Red Sox, they are probably going to get multiple cards. Also, it is important to note that you guys do not have to do anything in the finest program to be able to do this. If you guys see right here, this does get you to 100%. So if you guys are wondering, technically Mike Trout is free. He does not cost you any stubs. Of course, it does cost time, and I do value time, of course, but you do not have to spend any stubs, so do not worry about the finest program. You guys do not even have to look at it if you do not want to. And then finally, this will be coming out next week at some point. We do not know yet. Once that news comes out, I will go ahead and bring it towards you guys as always. I don't know, they might do a Twitch stream or something like that, once again like they did with the finest, but there is only one guaranteed confirmed card that we do already know, and of course that is the World Series MVP Steve Pearce. And in a little bit, I am going to give you guys some predictions that I have of players that I do think will be receiving postseason flashbacks from the performances they had. And like I said, I only have one per team, and honestly, some of these teams are kind of hard to do because I'm just gonna name them. The Cubs in specific, they scored 1 run in their game, their wild card game, and that was their only game. So the guy who I picked it was kind of hard to pick because he didn't necessarily have a great game, but he had the best game out of the possibilities that they have. But I do want to talk about something a little bit else regarding the postseason program, and that's just how I think it's going to work. I will have another video coming out maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after that, of how you guys can get full preparation on the postseason program, so you guys are able to complete it the fastest. And you guys already know it's completed really efficiently, but anyway, if you guys do remember last year, it was pretty much just a string. I believe the first guy you got, I think it was Eddie Rosario. I could be wrong with that, but I believe it was Eddie Rosario. And basically the way it went is you got him, you had to do a stat mission, on to the next one. Do a stat mission with him, on to the next one. And you keep going down the line like that until eventually you get to 95 George Springer. There's a couple ways that they can do this, and you know, it really depends on how they will do it, of course. As you guys can see, this does add up to 100%, like I said. But if you guys remember, this added up to 100% as well, but it did split. So I think one thing that they might do is they might have 2 separate programs, one being the American League and one being the National League. Obviously the American will give you 30% and the National will give you 30% as well. In my opinion, they might do it that way, or they could do one straight shot like they're showing right now and be the full 60%. I'm really not too sure. And they, like I said, they really could do it 2 ways. They could have a lot of flashback cards, like they could have 5 different like Red Sox, 5 Dodgers, you know, have a bunch of cards, and that way it would probably be where kind of like the finest, or not the finest, but the Future Star programs, where you guys remember, obviously you can't see the stat missions because I've completed them, but they're all single game missions, of course, except for like the final, like the diamond player, but all the golds, they all were single game missions. So I'm thinking, like I said, there's two ways. If they do it where they want to have a lot of cards, I would imagine it's going to be something similar to that, where they're all single game missions and, you know, bang, get that one done, bang, get that one done, and keep going down the line, which I wouldn't be opposed to. Or the other way that I think they would do is they would have less cards, which is also very possible, because like I said, I don't really know how many that they could make or that they want to make out of this. Especially because now that they're at the end of the year, they are a little bit more limited in a way, in a sense of where they've already had some guys get, you know, like player of the month cards, and they don't really want to duplicate them. But anyway, if they did want to do it that way, I think it would be more so longer missions and then to get to the next one. I don't really know. I kind of, like I said in previous videos, I like how they did the Future Star program where you had a lot of cards, because like I said in that video as well, even though I'm never going to use this Austin Hayes card in my life, it's cool just to have in the binder, and I think it is nice to just be able to collect cards, because that's kind of like what Ultimate Team style game modes are based off. In the beginning, it's just filling a binder full of cards, so I hope that is the way they do it. But now getting on to the other side of the video, which is of course me predicting you know, the cards that we are going to be receiving. Like I said, I only did one per team. Obviously, teams like the Red Sox and Dodgers are going to have more than one card, or you at least would hope. But obviously, starting with the Red Sox, you guys already know I went the easy route. I went with Steve Pearce, because obviously he's guaranteed. In the World Series in general, I'm just talking about the World Series because that's what his card's going to be based off more so. He had a 333 batting average, a 1.167 slugging percentage, 3 home runs, and 8 RBIs. Like I said, George Springer, the World Series MVP, he was a 95 overall last year. He was the main reward. I would assume it would be no different. Obviously, Steve Pearce isn't, you know, the player George Springer is, or at least in the regular season at least. He doesn't have the same stature as George Springer, of course, but I would imagine they would probably give him the highest overall card, and I could see it being like a 95 overall, just like last year with George Springer. I think that will probably be the set reward, because just because he's not as big of a name, I don't think that they really should discriminate and not give him as good of a card. At least that's my opinion. Let me know down below in the comments if you think Steve Pearce should be the set reward. I'm pretty sure you guys are all going to agree with me that he should be, but some of you guys might be salty and disagree with me. But moving on to the Yankees, I think it's going to be Aaron Judge. Honestly, there wasn't too many guys who had you know, who really had a standout postseason for the Yankees, but Aaron Judge definitely did. He had a 421 batting average, 947 slugging percentage, and he had 3 home runs, one in the wild card, and then 2 in the division series against the Red Sox. Obviously, he's an 86 overall now. I would love to see a 90 overall Aaron Judge. Honestly, I like playing him in center field because he's really tall. He can really get to a lot of balls. He has pretty good speed, pretty good defense, of course. But you guys all know what we care about with Aaron Judge. That is that pop, of course, and that bat. Moving on to the Cleveland Indians, and you know, this is the start of the team, so it's kind of hard to find a guy, because even though the Indians did make it into the division series, they did not play very well at all. I went with Mike Clevenger. He had 5 innings pitched, a 1.8 ERA, a 167 opponent batting average, and he struck out 9 guys. He's an 80 overall now. I don't think they will give him a diamond card for that performance, but like I said, you guys are going to see a trend, a couple teams that just did not perform that well in the postseason. It's hard to find at least one player, but I do like, good job SDS, I do like that you included every team, because, you know, just like last year, the Twins got bounced in the first round. Eddie Rosario, I think, just hit 1 home run in that game. Still got like an 85 card, which of course was only a gold last year, but it's still cool to see them include every team, because obviously if you're a fan of like the Indians, and yeah, nobody really had a good postseason, you don't really want them to just skip over your team. But moving on to the Oakland Athletics, another example where you guys didn't really have anybody to stand up, but Khris Davis, he did hit a 2-run shot. He was 1 for 4 in that game, and honestly, nobody pitched very well and nobody else hit very well, so Khris Davis should run away with their only card that they do get. Honestly, I don't think he's going to be a diamond, but he's going to have a lot of pop, of course. Not the best fielding, not the best speed, but of course, all we care about with Khris Davis cards is the power, so I'm really confident in him getting the one for the Oakland Athletics. For the Astros, I am a bit torn, because there's a couple couple guys who are deserving, and obviously I said there's going to be probably more than one Astro, but I'm only going to predict one. Marwin Gonzalez could get one. They might give one to Bregman, but I went and chose George Springer once again because he did have the best postseason for the Astros technically, even though he had the card last year. But I do remember them saying for Player of the Month, they do not, because it was talked about with Mitch Haniger early on in the year. I think he had a good April, and people were saying like, oh, are you guys not going to give him one just because he had a Player of the Month card last year? I believe it was MLB The Show Tips. He said, no, that does not matter. That does not pay any retribution into this year's game. So George Springer, of course, in their postseason, he had a 400 batting average, 829 slug, 4 home runs, and 8 RBIs. Like I said, not really much else to say about it. They might go away from George Springer just because he did get the set reward last year, in which case they might give it to Bregman, Marwin Gonzalez, but George Springer definitely did have the best postseason for the Houston Astros. Moving on to the Atlanta Braves, I'll be honest, I've never heard of this guy in my life. Touki Toussaint, once again, an example of where I think their best hitter was 250, and that was Freddie Freeman, and he got to find his card, so he's not going to get a damn postseason card. But Touki Toussaint, he had 3 innings pitched, no runs and 1 hit. Let's move on. He'll probably get a gold card. I'm sorry if you guys are a bunch of Touki fans in the comments, let me know, but honestly, I've never heard of him in my life until I looked him up. On to the Chicago Cubs. Once again, they scored 1 run. Albert Almora Jr., I went with him. He was 2 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. Yes, that was pretty much the best game the Cubs had of any player. John Lester, I think he pitched like 6 innings and had like a 1.5 ERA, only 1 run given up. But he does already have a diamond card in the game, so I really just don't see them giving him a higher card than a diamond for pitching like 6 innings. I really just do not see that happening. Moving on to the Milwaukee Brewers, who will get multiple cards. Obviously, a hitter won't get one, even though he had a good postseason, but I'm going to only focus on one, even though I'm going to say Wade Miley and Jhoulys Chacín both are going to get postseason cards. But looking at Wade Miley in specific, he pitched 14.2 innings pitched. He had a 123 ERA and a 185 opponent batting average. Honestly, like I said, Chacín and Wade Miley both are going to get postseason cards. They really did pitch well, but they did not have too many guys standing out on the offensive side, except for Orlando Arcia, who did hit 3 home runs, so I do think he will be getting a card as well. Like I said, it depends how they want to do it. If they want to give him a lot of cards and have, like single game missions, or a few cards and have like more stat tallies. But moving on to the Colorado Rockies, and if I'm not wrong, he did get a monthly rewards card. Okay, no, he didn't. I don't know if Kyle Freeland got one or not, but I'm going to say he didn't. Anyway, he had the best postseason for the Rockies. 6.2 innings pitched, no runs, 6 strikeouts, 174 opponent batting average. Once again, I think the best hitter was Trevor Story, but he has an 89 overall card. They obviously would not give him any better because he had like 260 in their postseason. And then finally, for the Los Angeles Dodgers, I only went with one, and that is, of course, Pedro Baez, because I felt the most comfortable with him. In 11.1 innings pitched, he had a 159 ERA, 108 opponent batting average, and 14 strikeouts. Definitely had a very good postseason, and he is a bronze card. Might even sneak up and get a diamond card. Obviously, you guys know the player that I want for the Dodgers, and that, of course, is Yasiel Puig. He did hit 300 cumulative in the postseason, and he had a couple of home runs. Please, SKS, if you are listening, please give Yasiel Puig a diamond card, or at least just bring his flashback back from MLB The Show 16. I need that card in my life. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. Those are the guys who I do think are going to be getting postseason cards. Like I said, I only listed off one per team, but trust me, there are going to be more than one per team, because obviously more than just Steve Pearce had standalone postseason performances for the Boston Red Sox. But if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like down below. Of course, down below in the comments, let me know your predictions on who you think is going to get postseason flashbacks, and let me know how you guys are feeling about the postseason program in general. But if you guys did enjoy the video for the second half, please leave a like down below. But I'm gonna stop talking. Hope you guys have a great day, and later, you guys.